Hello. Hello. Hello, and welcome back to Bell TV1's continuing coverage of the 2017 Nova Scotia Deloitte Tankard. We're on sheet 3 here at the Mayflower Curling Club. Our feature match is between Kendal, Thompson, and Brent MacDougall. My name is Ryan Corsell, and I'll shortly be joined by Carly Jones here. Kendal Thompson coming in with a record of 1-4, mathematically out of the playoff situation. So trying to play spoiler on Brent MacDougall, who's sitting at 3-2 and looking to win this game and keep his hopes very much alive for some play on the weekend. This is Brent MacDougall's lead, Jarod Brown. Placed the first one on the top of the 12. Looks like Brent's asking for center guard here. You either want to make a decision, are you playing the center guard, or are you going to tap that one up, or you don't really want to group them too close together. Ends up with his guard, but maybe a little tighter of the house than he would have liked. Kendal Thompson with hammer here will try to utilize his corner guard and ask his lead, Luke Saunders, to wrap around the corner guard he placed on his first. Was commentating on this sheet earlier this morning, and we've seen lots of curl when as soon as it gets off center line, curling away from center. This path that Luke is attempting here. Just a couple feet too heavy, slides behind the tee line, but definitely behind cover, even pokes out the other side a little bit, and Brent not interested at all in playing with that. Puts the broom down for appeal on the corner guard. As I welcome Carly Jones to the broadcast booth.
Hello, thanks for welcoming me. Just want to make sure my mic is on here.
There we go. Pretty good start for both teams so far. Jarod sinks one behind the corner guard, and Brent wasn't really interested in playing, so goes up and peels the corner. Chance now to lay two for our first look at Kendal Thompson's second stone, Matt Lavell.
So just to catch everyone up to speed here, we are on the last day round robin play. I'm not sure if Ryan, you had a moment to talk about kind of what's going on in the standings. So on our
just on our feature sheet,
right.
really.
So this game, it's definitely big for Brent MacDougall. He is currently at 3-2. So this is a must-win for him at this point. For Kendal Thompson, unfortunately, they have dropped to 1-4. So by doing a little bit of math, it does look like they have been eliminated from any chance of getting into the playoffs. But still, it's the last day round robin, and both teams are going to be coming out strong, looking for a win. So I think we'll be seeing a good game here.
Yeah, that's right. I think Brent definitely wants to have his destiny in his hands by winning. I think his destiny falls in the hands of others with a loss here today. And as always, all four sheets in action here during the second to last draw of men's action. We have our other feature sheet on Bell TV1 is on sheet 4 here at the Mayflower between Robert Mayhew and Mike Fleming. Fleming also at 1-4 and mathematically eliminated. Mayhew sitting at 2-3. definitely a must-win for him if he wants any chance on the weekend. And then we have 2 games on our end sheets that have pretty huge implications for the playoff picture this weekend. One of them being between Jamie Murphy, sitting alone at the top of the standings right now, playing Chad Stevens. Stevens, one of the many teams at 3-2. And then we have Stuart Thompson playing Paul Dexter over on sheet 5. They are 2 of the other teams at 3-2, with Brent MacDougall here in our feature being the 4th. So a bit of a logjam there for second place. That should separate a little bit after this draw, and then we'll have the final draw of men's action tonight at 8 p.m., I believe.
Yeah, game tonight at 8 p.m., so that will conclude the round robin. And as you were saying, yeah, it's definitely a log jam right now for the standings. I think that with Jamie Murphy's team being 4-1, that they have secured at least some sort of playoff spot at this point. Just in terms of the wins and losses, don't quote me on that one, but I'm pretty sure I was hearing around the club last night that that is the case. So
You're
lots
probably
of people
right.
chasing,
2 losses is the worst case. It would put them at 4-3. You know those 3-2 teams are going to play each other and drop, so I think you might be right.
Really working on this one to keep the line.
Yeah, so we just come back to our feature game for 2 seconds, I suppose. A little rollout there will leave Brent MacDougall laying the shot stone. Keep you updated on all the sheets as always. I believe tonight maybe needs a double check, but I think Stevens is playing Murphy. Oh no, they're doing that right now. Sorry, so that's a rematch of last year's final. I thought it was in the last draw, but it's in the.
So tonight, Stevens will be facing off against Stuart Thompson.
Right, so that'll be another huge game.
Yeah, reason being is what they usually do is the top 2 seeds play each other in the last game, and Stuart and Chad's team both were fortunate to get the bye into this event where they did not have to compete for a spot. They automatically got their berth based on points collected throughout the year and how they did in their competitions.
Yeah, and those 2 top seeds, as you said, being Chad Stevens and Stuart Thompson, didn't have to qualify for the provincials through the qualifier, earned berths, and a wonderful shot there by Bryce Everist. Makes the triple, really, getting one off the front of the stone, off the front of the house, and 2 in the house with 1 blue. Yeah, that. I'll take the wind out of you if you're Brent a little bit.
First shot at the end here for Brent MacDougall, looking to come around the center line guard and get as close to the center as he can on this one.
Yeah, still has a center guard to work with, albeit being blue. This one's seems pretty wide, but we've seen them curl a lot, especially at the end. There's Jared's going to try to work on this one a bit. They're at least off the guard, so, you know, and that was really smart, I think, to get off that directional sweeping a sec, because sometimes it's really easy to overcook them. And pokes out the other side, and that ends up mostly covered. Right on the button. Good draw weight there from Brent for first stone of the game. I suppose he's thrown a few in practice.
So it looks like Kendal can see about half of that stone in the house, so he'll be looking to either come just right down on top of it and push it back. They do have hammers, so they don't necessarily need to get completely out of the rings, but at least move into a better spot.
I saw a lot of these kind of shots on my game earlier on this sheet where throw the right weight, it'll bend right at the end and make the shot you want. Looks like good weight control here from Kendal. Just a dusting so far from the sweepers. And
looks like it's coming quite
curling
nicely.
in really nice now. That's just a really nice weight selection from Kendal. Got exactly what he needed out of that shot.
Yeah, I think they'll be happy with that one. I think the shot that they've left Brent, it is there. I think he'd be happy to get an inside roll, but I think at this point he'd just like to make contact in order to ensure that Kendal doesn't have an opportunity to score two and perhaps force him.
Yeah, I think the inside roll is pretty optimistic just because of the weight you'd have to throw to bounce off the rock a little bit. And it won't curl to the inside, I guess, if you throw that weight. And then anything on the high side might jam by trying that rock. So it's almost as if Brent has to go really high side with this, and then you kind of risk rolling out when you do that, and maybe give Kendal an opportunity to blank. It all depend on the weight that Brent decides to throw here, and yeah, I'd say the risk of rolling out is definitely a possibility with that weight. It's cutting her pretty close to the guard, so yeah, he'll lose everything. So Kendall's going to have a second look at this stone here. Might be a split opportunity here. I think he feels like there definitely is. Stone is just off the screen there from the overhead shot.
It's not the easiest split.
There's a good look from it there. No, you think he's coming across the face, Carly? Yeah. Eh?
Yeah, I think he'll be just coming off the inside of it, rolling his shooter towards the center, and then that the stone which he makes contact with will go into the 12-foot.
Yeah, and a lot of times with these split attempts, you kind of try to find a way to throw it where you don't get stuck taking one. And I think in this situation, it's pretty hard to do that.
Just gotta wait for it to curl a little bit here.
Yeah. If they feel it won't.
Really close.
Oh, they're really close. I think he's got it. Yeah, what
Lovely
a good
shot.
And the other really smart decision there was the turn. He knew how the rocks would react by being hit that way, and which is exactly the way he needed for them to react to roll in for the split.
Yeah, it was a great shot. So that's 2 points for Kendal Thompson here in the first end to start us off.
Yeah, I think that split would have been harder with the other turn. So opening deuce with hammer, always a good thing for when you get the hammer in the first end. Kind of dictates the play a little bit for the second and third. Kendal gonna take less chances now, throw this first stone in to the house, and that'll have Brent chasing. We expect a corner guard right away.
Jarod Brown here throwing the first stone for Brent MacDougall.
Nice effort there from Jarod. Nice placement. Far enough from the center line that wouldn't block 4-foot path on Brent's last one. We've seen so much curl to the wing that I think for the come around, the further out, the better there. Nice placement on Luke's first, so the call becomes the guard, but not as well of a throw, or did he call that one in?
Yeah, it looked like he called a tight guard, but
Okay,
I think
yeah.
in this situation, I think they're happy with that tighter in.
I agree. That's why I started doubting, because it's not the worst result.
Yeah, it all depends on the team. Some teams will call both rocks in. Tight guard's great too because now there's an opportunity here for Jarod to hit the blue stones in the house.
I think especially on ice like this that's curling so much, you really want to make sure that it is a tight guard because high guard, even though guarding your stone with any kind of backline, bump weight, tap back, could end up helping the other team, really.
Yeah, exactly.
And the defense starts right away here for Kendal. Nice peel from Lavell.
Lavell.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I've been calling him Matt all this time. Why did I think his name was Matt?
I'm not sure. Oh,
I'm
do we have
confusing
it?
him with someone else. Brendan.
Maybe he has a doppelganger out there named Matt.
Brent MacDougall's second stone. Kirk MacDiarmid. Sister Kristen skipping a team on the women's side here this week. Also in the hunt, sitting at 3-3. Brent wants to make Brendan throw a different kind of shot. Throws the guard over on the other side. Defense continues for the Thompson team. Take this moment to let you know about our other games. Everyone's in the second end now after a lengthy first over on sheet 5, which resulted in a big 3 points for Stuart Thompson over Paul Dexter. Chad Stevens took one over Jamie Murphy over on sheet 2, and it was a blank between our other feature game on sheet 4 between Robert Mayhew and Mike Fleming. Abandoning corner guard strategy here, Carly?
I think.
Or one more, or a few more.
I think the guard's never going to hurt. I would think that Kendal, given what we've seen from him this end, he's going to continue playing the peel on it.
Yeah.
But I mean, in the end, the objective is to at least have something to come around in order to try to get your 2 at the end.
Yeah, I think I just felt with the broom placement, it wasn't quite where he had put the other ones for the corner. I think that might have been what he called, to trying to set up this angle that would jam a yellow onto the blue there.
Yeah, and I mean, the way it is now, I mean, positioning, it's okay. Leave an opportunity
Kendall's just going to throw the other way, though.
Yeah. Just to at least get the 1 out here. It's not exactly what they called, but does the trick. Removes one of the yellow stones.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty good result. It changes the angle up, and that angle that Brent was looking for is not there anymore.
Yeah, I think his intentions was just to hit the first yellow rock
for
there.
Sure, yeah. Can really hear the intensity rising out there as the last day of round robin here. Both the men and the women playing the provincial championships the same week here at the Mayflower Curling Club in Halifax. Brent asking Shea Steele to roll away there with his stone and prevent any kind of double opportunity. Rolls a little bit, not quite enough.
Yeah, I think it looks by the way the angles are here, there is an opportunity for Bryce to remove both yellow stones.
Yeah, as you know, Bryce made a triple in the first end, so this should be a piece of cake.
Yep.
His son over curling a bit early, so just going to come up the nose. We'll roll a little bit towards the other yellow.
So this one's a bit different. I don't think Brent can get the roll over to the left side as his original intention. I think with this one he'd be happy with, if he noses it, there's still some sort of double attempt. But he might be able to roll a little bit here,
yeah.
eh? Gonna sit in time?
No. That lets Kendal off the hook. Open hit to lay 2, and now the force is in play.
So Kendall's just going to look to hit this one square on the nose. Doing that, he'll be able to just keep some separation between his blue stones and, like you said, Ryan, keep the force in play.
Yeah, a lot of times we saw earlier in my games, a miss was often followed by a miss by the other team. It's funny how there's a psychological element to the game and play there, but Kendal definitely wants to capitalize on that miss and make this one to only 2. And he does just that, no problem. Sometimes we see a team in Kendal Thompson's position sitting at 1-4, mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, really step up their play, not even that intentionally, but the pressure's now off, and it just allows the body, the mind to throw the stone a little freer, a little easier, and that's the kind of state you want to be in all the time. But when the provincial championship's on the line, it's hard to find that equilibrium. So they seem to have come out sharp here this morning.
Yeah, no, they're playing great. And it was kind of funny in talking with them yesterday. I had commentated their game against Stuart Thompson last night, and I liked what they said to me when they talked about, the fact that they knew they were out. They said, you know what, like, we're going to go out and we really want to beat Brent. We're just going to treat it like it's any other game. So I think that definitely, like, the intensity and the emotions are a lot different now. But for these guys, I mean, they're so used to this type of competition that they put themselves in these situations and mimic the pressure as often as they can. That when they do get to this point, it just becomes another game for them, which is fantastic to see.
Oh, I think at any point anyone wants to win as many games as they can and beat everyone that they can. Just in the last few minutes, Carly, we're looking across the sheets. I've seen a triple. I've seen a hit through a narrow port over here. I've seen a run back takeout over here. It's the level of play is really remarkable, and the intensity that the players are bringing to the ice.
So Kendall's going to look for the same result here on this one. Nose hit. Force Brent MacDougall to his single here in the second end.
Nothing too sudden from anyone. Usually an indication of a good throw. And Brent will elect to play the hit for his single.
Yeah, some skips would choose to draw here, but I think being the second end, so maybe they're not super comfortable with draw weight at this point. And Brent just played this hit on his last run as well. So.
Yeah, exactly. He always likes to throw the same thing twice, and he's playing at it smart. He's probably going to bring his weight down a little bit, curl into the rock where he has 8-10 feet of ring to roll into if he needs to, and brings his weight down and shouldn't roll too much anyways, so I expect him to make the shot. Early call from Shea there. No mistake. So it'll be a score of 1 for Brent MacDougall in the second end. Kendal Thompson will continue to lead 2-1, and now we'll get the hammer back in the third. The men's provincial curling championships this year being presented and sponsored by Deloitte, who's on board as the main sponsor for the first time this year. And on the women's side, of course, presented by Scotties, longtime sponsor of women's curling in Canada, both at the national level and the provincial level. Other sponsors including Bell TV1, who's providing the coverage here this weekend.
It's funny. So with Kendal Thompson rink here, their usual lead, who's Jamie Danbrook, is doing, he's an ice maker, and he was asked to join the World Curling Federation in doing the ice in Kazakhstan for the World Universiade Championships. So upon qualifying for the provincials, the Kendal Thompson rink picked up Luke Saunders to play lead. Came back from, I guess you could say, mini retirement. He played quite competitively in juniors, and he's about 2 or 3 years out now. Luke himself is quite an avid tennis player, so I think he took some time to focus on that in his studies, and has decided to come back and to play. He's been practicing quite a bit, and I think that's kind of what caught the eye of the Kendal Thompson rink to pick him up to play lead. And it's kind of funny, I have to laugh because he always wears a different shirt each day because he doesn't have his matching shirts of the Thompson rink. So today, it looks like he's wearing a Danbrook jacket, but I have a feeling he has a Thompson shirt underneath. And at one point, he had an Everist top on too. So
Earning his spot on the team. Good start to the end, both teams. From what I've heard, just to come back to Luke for a sec, it's been a quick return, but an intense return. He's practiced a lot, playing a lot as part of this provincial championship. I heard he's also partaking in the mixed doubles this year with none other than his mom, Colleen Jones. So a series of freezes accumulating in the house. This one seems to be a bit wider than the line they were looking for, so it's going to bounce off.
I just think the little bit of extra weight he had on that just kind of kept it hanging out there. I commentated 2 games now, I think, and watched a few others. I've really been noticing that the ice is quite sensitive to weight.
Yeah, it's extremely weight sensitive, yeah.
With any up weight, you're not really seeing any curl at all, which is to be expected. But even when these guys are throwing like a nice control weight, sometimes you're not seeing much curl either.
Yeah.
And then the difference between throwing backline, hack, and board is substantial. You're getting so much more curl out of these backline shots as opposed to throwing board. But I think these guys have done a quite good job of managing that. And I mean, when you're looking for good ice conditions, you can't really ask for more than that. These guys have been doing a fantastic job making sure that the ice stays consistent, and really good for these guys to play on this week.
Yeah, so that was really the first miscue we've seen of the end here. Gives an opportunity here. I think Kendal knew he was going to lose that back blue all along, but saw the angles that were there to lay 2, and that's what happens.
And I think, when you kind of see them get into that early on for E's game, for Kendall's team to have an opportunity to do that is exactly what their goal was with that. So it's a well-executed shot there by Brent and Lavell.
I was listening to your call last night on Kendal's game against his brother Stuart, also skipping a team here at the Nova Scotia Provincials. Always a family affair at curling. You see these relations on the ice quite a bit.
It's quite funny. I was commentating with their sister, actually. And
that's right.
on the ice, so Kendal and Stuart's parents come to watch, of course, and they are kind of in a hard position. They can't choose a favorite, obviously.
Yeah.
And I saw Kendall's father, Stephen, had a sign last night that said, "Go Team Thompson."
Yeah, it covers
without
both. No initials necessary.
Yeah. It was quite funny. And at one point in the 10th end, when once Kendal took 2 to go to the extra end,
yeah.
Stephen held up the sign and Kendal yelled at him, "Which one?" But he wouldn't answer.
Draw
back.
the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was on Kendal's shot, so it must have been Kendal. Kendal being the older of the two, having skipped Stuart in juniors.
Right. Yeah.
Then Kendal went on to men's play while Stuart skipped his own team and also had some success.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
Both great skips in their own right.
So Stone's getting closer together here for Kendal. Thompson's gonna pretty hard not to leave a double opportunity after this one. Brent had one on the last stone. He's gonna get another one after this, I believe. Still the center guard to work with for Brent if he could ever make the double and get another slight miscue. Yeah, I think maybe Kendal was going harder for the roll than the laying 2 there, knowing he was going to kill his back run. That rock being behind the tee line, Brent could decide to draw around, utilize the center guard. Kind of hard when you're not you're behind on the scoreboard. You want to make sure that the other team doesn't get further ahead.
Yeah, especially when Kendal's team does have hammer here.
Yeah.
It is slightly risky to leave blue stones in the house because they can all end up being potential counters in the end. Yeah. But nice roll there by Shea Steele, forcing Kendal into playing the draw here on this shot.
Yeah, I think Kendal just wants 2. I think if he could throw hackerboard at that, no problem. But it's kind of been the story so far in this game is a bit more aggressiveness from Kendal, resulting in some scoring, and even I don't know. Brent needs rocks in play to score, so and get back from the deficit. So, but he's been the one playing hits. So,
just a little heavy there on Bryce Everist's rock. So,
yeah, slides past the yellow, eh?
Yeah. So with this one, Brent's gonna have a chance to put some pressure on Kendal here. If he can get this one, say top 4 position or so, Kendal's definitely gonna be chasing after him.
Jamie Murphy with a single in the second end in his game. It's all tied up with Chad Stevens 1-1. A rematch of last year's final there on sheet 2. Brent wants to make sure it's above the tee line, or skipper's deuce still be alive.
Looks like it's coming quite nice here.
Yeah, Brent really likes his line.
Hit the brakes a little bit, I think.
Yeah, that's why I was expecting that to curl a little bit more, but it's just because it had that extra couple feet room on the button there for Kendal. Freeze this perfectly. You might see Brent guard it to only give Kendal one, because yeah, we just heard Luke say they don't seem to be finishing as much anymore, and it's just what I was just saying there, but keep an eye on that on the ice. There seems to be more curl going outside in than anywhere, even coming back into the button area.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I even noticed last night that it seemed like they weren't finishing as much yesterday either as they were earlier in the competition. It could be in part due to the fact that they likely touched up the stones prior to the competition. So what I mean by that is each stone has a running surface, and to maintain the integrity of that running surface, they'll oftentimes get them touched up almost like with a sandpaper-like substance, and it will make the rocks a little bit more sharper. And when that happens, usually the rocks tend to curl a little bit more. But considering how many games have been played now with these stones, perhaps maybe that sharpness has toned down a little bit, and we're seeing the rocks not quite finish as much.
Yeah, towards the end of an event, we see that even at the televised events. It's not quite the huge swing you'll see on day one. So a bit light there for Kendal. Leaves Brent lying 1 and 2, I believe.
It's definitely 1. From up here, it looks like it might be 2. Either way, Brent's going to be looking to guard this for his life. In order to leave Kendal no chance at getting at it. So big opportunity here for Brent to potentially steal here in the third end.
Got to look at the house there. Yeah, it definitely is 2.
So
can Kendal score here, Carly?
Yeah, I think that he does have the in-turn option here. You can see Bryce standing there with the broom. I think that yellow guard is long enough that as long as they play it just a bit tight to it, they should be able to get into the button area and score their single.
Yeah, with the path that this stone has to take, the yellow guard really isn't a factor at all. If you paper that yellow guard, you're nowhere near to making this draw. So the stone you really got to get around is the blue there at the top of the 8-foot. I think you're right. I think that button's on the back of the button. There's room on the button, but by golly, he needs the button, and this has gone early. So a big steal of 2 here for Brent MacDougall in the third end. Puts him up 3-2 all of a sudden. He's got the lead. Kendal Thompson will have the hammer in the fourth end, and a turn of events here in our feature sheet, Carly.
I think that goes to say what you're saying about getting by those guards, that, the yellow one wasn't too big of a factor, but I think he knew he had to play it tight to get by that blue one as well. And just took off a little more than he expected, I think.
Yeah, we talked about this in our first game. Not a factor in your path, but definitely in your line of sight, and there's a psychological aspect to throwing those stones. So you hear Brent calling for the stone in the rings. Change of strategy now after the steal of 2. Just a 1-point game though, so both teams definitely still in it. We're going to see Kendal throw the corner guard here. I tell you, Paul Dexter grabbed a single in the second end over on sheet 5 against Stuart Thompson. So Thompson in control of that game, up 3-1 with the hammer. Nice corner guard from Luke Saunders. Calling for a tight center guard here. Shea trying to make that rock curl. Would really like to cross the center line. It's just going to split center, leaving the one on the side of the button slightly exposed. Kendal will call for Luke to play a little hit and roll behind this corner guard. Once again, you could play the straight draw behind the corner guard, but you don't know how many opportunities you're going to get at shot stone, and this is one of them, so you might as well take it now. Pretty positive rotation there for from Luke's throw. Gives it a nice path, makes the roll, peeks out the other side, but a good throw. And in our other feature sheet, after 2 blank ends, Robert Mayhew picking up the single in the 3rd end. He's up 1-0 on Mike Fleming. You can tune into that one on our other channel here on Bell TV 1. It's just Rex on the guard there. There's Frankie Amos and Joel MacDougall over there with the call. So Kendal has his rock out on the wings now and has an opportunity to sink one behind the center guard as well. Just be set up well with Hammer here.
So Brent like to keep this anywhere ahead of the tee line. Preferably top 4 area would be ideal.
Yeah, above the tee line is definitely key. Bit of an early sweep to get by the guard, but by no problem. It just slips behind the button.
Yeah, those ones are always tough to judge, right? You really want to make sure you get it there and it's in a good spot. Sometimes a couple extra licks to the ice, and next thing you know, your rock is going behind tee line. So I think Shea Steele's just coming down here to check out the situation, just to see if there's any other shots other than the draw. You could hit the blue on the side. I mean, that's your conservative option, kind of going back to the whole blue, like any blue rocks in the rings can be potential points.
Yeah. I think
they do have that center line guard, so I think that playing this draw, I mean, given the setup at this point, is a good call.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you hit the one on the side and Kendal sinks another one, a better one, then 3's into play. I mean, yeah, I like the draw here. There's not many other options in my mind. Looks like Kirk came out of the hack a little strong here. Kirk being summoned by the skip. Wants to have a chat. Got it out without actually getting down to the other end.
Just looking to almost accomplish what Brent was trying to do on their shot previously.
Yeah, Kendal wants one to top of the tee line here, but just as we were saying an end ago, we've seen a few rocks here in a row just not really dive towards that center line like we've seen before. Still about half exposed. A little more. Still not a bad spot though, just because of the fact it's ahead of the tee line. And Shea's going to come back down once again. Maybe we can listen in and see if we can hear Brent and Shea discuss their options.
you definitely got to get something moving here, whether it's repositioning where those blues are or getting a couple of them out perhaps.
Yeah, it looks like they've gone back to the draw. I think, you definitely want to curl at least to the inside. It's definitely there, but both teams are getting tricked by the curl here, so this hangs on the outside. You're going to see Kendal with an opportunity for a big score here.
Yeah, they really got to get this rock in an almost perfect spot. It's catching some curl now.
Yeah, I need more curl. Luckily, he threw enough weight to tap it back there, and that's a pretty good result for Shea. Actually does get to the inside and sits for second shot.
Yeah, I think he'll be happy with that, especially since he was able to move that blue rock to behind the tee line. So looks like Kendall's going to opt to play the peel here. And then I think at that point we'll see Brent either promoting his Yellowstone into a more difficult position for Kendall to remove. Possibly might see the centerline guard go back up. Looks like Bryce is going to come down here just to see what the situation looks like in the house.
Yeah, everybody coming down here in this third end. Kendall definitely stepping to the front of the house, knowing that whatever will be played will be some kind of shot on those guards, wanting to clean house a little bit. That yellow one that Shea just threw is in a pretty good spot for Brent there.
As you can see on the screen, it's fully buried right now.
Yeah, kind of putting the brakes there on the train that was rolling for Kendall here so far in this third. Now Kendall's stones are behind the tee line, so we'll need a few miscues for them to actually count, I think. I don't know if they mean to run this straight back, but I think that's what's going to happen. Yeah, so I think Bryce just came in a bit tight there, and Kendal calling early to overcurl it instead of peel it on the low side.
So Blue's still sitting one at this point. Brent's looking at that blue over on the side, but it's hard to, I don't know if I'm not too sure what I would think about that call. I feel at this point that, do you think it would be safe for him to possibly move his own stone into scoring position, Ryan?
I don't mind this call, to be honest. Especially, I thought it was Brent's throw, but it's still Shea's last one. So I think Brent's really interested in seeing how Kendall's going to deal with this situation that's presented itself in the middle, because there's no way to come with where those two blue guards are. There's no way to come into that yellow that doesn't jam into those blues. So it's really, let me get rid of this one on the side. You deal with that over there, and I'll deal with the aftermath. You still got two skip stones to go.
Yep.
So.
To play the double. I think if they throw enough weight and indeed do get the double, he's either going to get by that back blue or possibly just kind of skim it on the way by.
Yeah, he might kill it on the way by, but you're right. He's got to throw this one hard. Just a bit tight there, I think, again for Bryce. Pretty good result, though. Yeah.
So that really changes up the situation in the house. A few less rocks there.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if Brent saw that coming or not. Might have maybe more aggressively played some kind of roll there. Steele for Jamie Murphy in the third has him up 2-1 over Chad Stevens, and he's sitting pretty well in the so momentum on Murphy's side in that game, I believe. Single for Stuart Thompson in the third, has him up 4-1 over Paul Dexter. Brent would like to get behind a guard here. It's a lot of weight to try to nail a small hit and roll like that. Kind of had to throw that weight to get by that guard without any overcurl, I guess, eh? Or by the bit in the hole.
Yeah, especially have that we've seen on this ice too, because it's so weight sensitive. I don't think these guys are quite sure exactly when they're going to get the curl quite yet. Still early-ish on in the game. But I think, so Kendall's going to have to make a decision here. It looked like at first he was looking at playing the draw, considering that Yellowstone is behind T-line.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that he's not, actually.
I would
Still
think,
time.
yeah.
Still time to change his mind.
Oh, no, he needs his broom.
He needs a broom.
Yes, I mean, if he noses it, he leaves it exposed for Brent to remove. And if he does roll, it will leave Brent some sort of shot on his last one, too. But in any situation, it's really, what they're comfortable with. And perhaps Kendal feels that he'll have a better opportunity perhaps to score multiples in the next end if he were to blank this.
Yeah, for sure. It might be in play. You'd think it being the fourth, you might think of that. However, these are 10-end games at the provincials, so lots of time to just flip the hammer in the even end script. Brent with the lead, happy to play along. Send this one over to the fifth.
Last shot here of the fourth end for Brent MacDougall. Looking to remove that blue stone in the house.
Wide a little bit now. Kirk trying to get to save the shooter, and he does. Threw a little less weight than his first there. Just helped the cause. Last zone of the end for Kendal Thompson. Blank attempt. Throwing the weight to get the roll. Not a lot of ring to roll out of, but he's gonna nose it anyways, and a bit of a mistake there by Kendal. Forced to take one in the fourth end. Will send this to a tie game, 3-3.
It's amazing when you see those guys throw big weight like that they're able to
And then
actually nose it and
agree.
not roll out.
Yeah, it is quite something. Yeah, so I hate to say it, Carly, but I think that would, on Brent MacDougall's side there, it's been like that for a few ends now. Luke Saunders being asked for a center guard by his skipper. And a nice shot there. Just a reminder, the Mayflower Curling Club in Halifax, Nova Scotia. If you're local to the area, come on down and check out some great curling. This is the last day of round robin play. We got both the men's and the women's provincial championships happening here. We have one more women's draw to go this afternoon at 4 o'clock p.m. We already know Mary MacDougall will be in Sunday's final. She's currently at 5-1, and even with a loss this afternoon, will qualify straight through.
So is that, sorry to interrupt, so this is a for sure that Mary
I'm pretty sure, yeah. Well, she plays Nancy McConnery this afternoon, which means she's beat everyone else, so even if she were to lose that one, she would win against, But second and third semifinal spots still to be decided this afternoon, and the last women's draw at 4 o'clock, and then we have the men's draw at 8 o'clock this evening. Still lots to be decided on both sides. Yeah, because I think if Mary would end up tied with the rest of them, it would just go to head-to-head record, and which
right, and her one loss was to Marianne Arsenault, whom is currently sitting at 3-3. So
2 losses behind her, exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's exciting.
So Mary's in the final Sunday. Yeah, it really is.
Wow.
Yeah. Mary's come out red hot this week, and it's paid off for the championship. There's about 5 other teams that will try to have their say in that, but I think Jill Brother is also very close to having clinched a spot in the semi. I'm not sure where her head-to-head would lie if she loses at 4, but she's a win ahead of everyone already.
Yeah, I was looking at the standings earlier today, and again, it was almost a very similar log jam for the top spots.
Yeah, and Brothers actually will play Marianne tonight in a rematch of last year's final. So Marianne at 3 losses, that'll definitely be a must-win for her. Marianne Arsenault, of course, the multiple-time champion of this event, both as a skip and as second stones for Colleen. Team that strung together a good run of national championships at the Scotties. All the banners hanging here at the Mayflower. Probably the first year in a while that Colleen hasn't been a part of these provincials.
Yeah, their team just fell short at the qualifier to compete in this event. They were here last year.
I think she has a fairly big event to focus on in the spring anyways, no? Representing Canada at the World Seniors.
That is fairly big, yes. It's she's in that hot spot right now where she's still young, but is able to compete in multiple different events, including the seniors.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And I've seen her around here quite a bit watching Luke play, which must be quite special for her to be able to watch her son play in the Tankard.
Yeah, for sure. Different experience. So a bit of a end developing here. Only one rock out of play so far. I think Kendal Thompson lying 1, Brent lying 2nd. Pretty close for 3rd.
It'll be interesting to see what they do here. Brent MacDougall does have the hammer right now. Situation in front is getting a little cluttered. We might see them potentially look at changing that up. They do have 3 yellow stones in the house right now. I definitely think the rock that they're looking at, which is shot stone, is their main concern right now, knowing that it's in a really good position. They might not have an opportunity to move it from there later on. So possibly deal with the rock now. Looks like they're going to opt to...
I would tend to agree with that, Carly, but I don't think getting rid of the guard is an awful option either. You can be pretty sure it'll go back up. So we'll just delay the action a few stones here because deal with the situation in the house eventually. Yeah. If you're Brent, you gotta hope Kendal doesn't put it up better. I guess if he does, he'll have a raise on the yellow that's hidden right now. I can't cover 2 stones with 1.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, possibly once we get a better look at it, he might be able to somehow guard half of each. Sometimes you'll see teams try to do that to kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah, I think in that case you'd definitely want it to be pretty tight to the rings because we've seen, we have seen in the past anyways, lots of curl on these sheets and makes the come arounds that are half hidden, quite makeable shots.
So it looks like they're talking about playing possibly a tap on that blue one. I don't mind that, especially if you're able to come maybe just on the inside of it, almost kind of Christmas tree it a bit.
Yeah, to the inside it'd be real peach for sure. Yeah, you gotta watch. You might want to change that angle up somehow because that front raise there's looking awfully good for Brent MacDougall.
Yeah, and if Bryce were to get to the inside of this one, I think he might make the raise tougher as well. So
yeah, changing the angle would be huge.
Just trying to hold this one.
Mine looks pretty good. Oh, nice. To the inside and then some. That's really good because the raise now would just get rid of 1 blue, I think.
Yeah, I think it would only get rid of 1 blue plus. I mean, it depends if he were able to squeeze it by that top blue and get shot. But either way, if he hits the top blue, back blue would still be counting 1 as well. So there's a great shot there by Bryce Everist.
Yeah. Don't think Brent has any other option, even though that shot's not as sweet as it was 30 seconds ago.
Given that Brent does have hammer here as well, I mean, you might just see him try to blast it, try and just try to get as many rocks out of there as he can and change up the situation around the center.
Yeah. Yeah, if you play it full onto that blue and keep the one, keep your shooter and the one you're raising would be pretty nice. Yellow's somewhat starting to accumulate.
This one's really hanging on the center line.
Yeah, and we've seen that on the center line. But makes the raise, loses the shooter. Blue situation in the forefoot definitely much more exposed now. Surprised, especially that there's still 3 yellow stones to come, that Kendal doesn't throw a guard here. I can see what he's thinking with setting kind of nice 3 in the forefoot that is impossible for Brent to score, but if you give Brent 3 rocks to get out of it, he probably will score. Yeah, they haven't. So they might be going back to the guard. About a lot of other things, but.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, you put another blue one in there, you might make the angles in favor for Brent's team. I think throwing up the guard at least makes Brent kind of think a little bit more about what his next shot's going to be, and probably you might see him peel the guard, which for Kendal's team is what you want, because then that means it's one less stone in the rings to score.
Yeah, I could see on Kendal's last maybe playing some kind of nose tap on that center line one, and might make it real hard for Brent to score, but only on his last, I think. Slight overcurl on that there. You're kind of like what you were saying, Carly. Guards half of both, but means it leaves half of both, I think. Leaves the other half of both that is not guard.
Yeah, and just kind of looking at where that guard is, I think if he plays off this blue one, I think the back blue is going to jam regardless, but he should be able to spill out the top one.
I think it's kind of hard to get rid of either blue here, isn't it, Carly? You kind of almost have to get to nose.
Yeah, the only thing I can see is possibly a top one spilling out the back. Find out in just a second here.
Yeah, okay.
Spills out the back, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But he was able to save his shooter, so there are still 3 yellow ones in the house.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
With the one lone blue just kicking in the back 4.
Just a reminder, we will take a break after this end, as the teams do halfway through their 10-end game. Take a moment as the team discuss this takeout attempt on the yellows to tell you that it's just been singles so far between Jamie Mavens. They're tied 2-2. Murphy with the hammer in the 5th. Lots of rocks in play there. Mike Fleming with the deuce in the 4th in our other feature game is finally on the board. He's up 2-1 over Robert Mayhew. As Kendal Thompson settles in to throw his first stone, probably looking for some kind of double here. I think he has to watch where that first yellow will spring back into, eh?
Yeah,
I think it should go under.
It should. It's hanging right now.
Kind of hanging, yeah. Might try to go the other double. Oh no, and he'll miss both of them. So 2 stones here for Brent to try to generate something.
I think at this point you're going to see Brent.
Oh wow, surprised.
This is interesting. You can see at least half of that blue rock, plus the guard is decently high. So,
yeah.
I mean, you throw like board weight, you should be able to get to the inside, keep it above the tee line, really put some pressure.
Too buried, yeah.
Doing this leaves an opportunity for Kendal just to play nose hit on that yellow and likely force.
Yeah,
I don't know
really
why
surprising.
he's playing this shot. I totally understand what he's thinking. He wants to leave the center open, but I think he needs to play a little bit of a numbers game here and count how many yellows he's got in the rings.
I agree. Maybe your question is actually whether Kendal will be second if he noses that yellow.
Yeah, at first from where we are, it looks like it. Now that we have the overhead, it's hard to say. I think even if you just roll a titch.
You would, yeah. Yeah, just an inch. That's all it would take.
Yeah, I think that's what they're talking about too.
I can see what Brent's thinking. Any kind of roll inside is ultimately grouping the 2 blues and should leave a double for him for his deuce. You know, Brent's obviously pretty happy with 2 here. I think he, if he saw an opportunity for more, he definitely would have played the.
Still surprised he didn't play that.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's still he's still gonna have some work to do for the 2. So.
Yeah, but either way, and kind of going back to what I said, like every skip wants to at least leave the center open shot, especially when you have hammers. So from that point of view, it makes sense. It's just again the whole numbers game sometimes, right? When you have a few in there, it's far and few between sometimes with these guys. So it looks like Kendal's gonna play the hit off the one just on the tee there. to be shot stone, it should be fine nosing. It might have to just flop in towards the center, just a hair. Last stone here of the 5th end. Doesn't look like he's got the inside quite yet.
No. Maybe nose. Won't be enough.
Yeah, I just, like we were saying, just had to roll just a hair on the inside to get shot. Or second shot, sorry.
Yeah, so pays off for Brent. Now he has a pretty easy shot for his deuce.
So he'll just be looking to just hit it a bit on the high side there.
Yeah, anything broom side there. Mike Fleming with a steal in the 5th extends his lead over Robert Mayhew to 3-1. Fleming tried to play spoiler there on Robert Mayhew. Mayhew at 3 losses needs to win to stay alive.
Last stone here from Brent MacDougall. Trying to get his 2 here.
Jarod Brown on the sweep, trying to keep it straight. Just needs anything high side will do it. Clean now. Nice shot by Brent for the 2. And he'll take a 5-3 lead as we go to our 5th end break. We'll take about a 5. Carly and I will be back on the other side of that with the last half of this game shaping up to be a good one. We'll see you then.
All right, so I'm back here to our 2017 Nova Scotia Tankard, presented by Deloitte. My name's Carly Jones, and we're coming here live with from the Mayflower Curling Club in Halifax, Nova Scotia, being broadcasted by Bell TV1. We'll start off the second half of this game. Just to update you, everyone at home quickly, Kendal Thompson took 2 in the first end with hammer, followed by a force of Brent in the second end. In the third end, MacDougall happened to steal 2, taking the lead at that point. And then Kendal Thompson on a blank attempt in the fourth end missed and was forced to his single and 4. And just in the fifth end, Brent MacDougall had a hit for 2, which he successfully made. So score right now is 5-3 after 5 ends, and Kendal Thompson does have the hammer here in the sixth end. So it looks like Kendal Thompson's going to choose to go for the second. Some teams would choose to hit the Yellowstone and roll over. The Yellowstone that just slipped into the rings, given that it would not follow the 4-rock rule as it is in play. But Kendal, realizing that he would 2 here in the sixth end, is going to be a little bit more aggressive and get his guards into some good spots here. So nice pair there by Luke Saunders to start off the end. So Brent's going to some peels here from second Kirk MacDiarmid. No mistake there. Well, welcome back, Ryan, here.
Thank you. We're back from our fifth end break. Sixth end well underway here, and an early good setup without hammer for Brent MacDougall. 2 stones in the center line area. Kendal asking for the corner guard on Luke's first, but needs to not let the situation in the center run away from him there. So calling for the freeze on the one on the tee line, and makes a really good shot. Brent with the lead, goes up, asks for the peel of the corner guard. Free guard zone now over with.
Mistake there.
No, we can tell you that Jamie Murphy's broken open his game a little bit over Chad Stevens there. It's now 5-2 after 3 points in the fifth. Stevens will try to mount the comeback in the sixth. Stuart Thompson in the fifth has him up 6-2 over Paul Dexter. Both teams over there at 3-2.
Great pair there by Brent and Lavell. I think just the way he's positioned them there, they're quite difficult to remove.
Yeah, I agree. That's a really nice pair.
Brent's going to run in his chop yellow into those blues. I think with this one, he would like to, probably will be able to spill the top one at least if he hits this in the right spot.
Yeah, it's kind of a better angle to get at those blues. You want to make sure you get contact, boys. Which you will.
And he just releases that back yellow too. I think that is crucial to that shot as well, because now it makes that blue, that lone blue in the rings, a lot easier to remove later on this end for Brent.
Yeah, smart call there from Brent, and good execution from third Shea Steele. I missed the call here. Carly is trying to sink another one behind that one in the top 12.
I think he's just trying to sink one behind.
Kind of risky here, grouping your blues together with the yellows still hanging around on the 12-foot. Has to create some distance, or at least an angle under which there'll be no double, and he does that pretty well with that shot. Only double available now is through the raise. And, you know, Shea just threw it, so there's a pretty good chance of making that.
Yeah, the double opportunity is definitely there. I think just to make contact with at least one of the blues, he would be happy.
Nice shot there by Shea.
Yeah, excellent shots. That is
Loses
definitely,
yellow,
he'll be happy with that one.
Makes the double. So a bit more room to work with now in the 4-foot area. Still a guard to work with for Kendal. He's going to keep chipping away at his deuce here. All sheets now. It's the fifth end break, I should say.
Looks like they're trying to get this one there for weight. Looks like it might be a little quiet.
Yeah, just going to nick the guard. Rolls
just
in for a shooter.
Yeah, just a bit too much of an adjustment.
A biter.
I think he knew he had to throw a little bit less than his previous, but just took a little too much off and just came up short of the 4-foot.
Yeah, and it's so easy to do that, isn't it, Carly?
Mm-hmm.
It's we're, you know, fractions of difference in the push from the hack there to talking about 5-6 feet in the house is you don't have to kick out much harder to make that difference. Any kind of extension as well, you know, can do a number on the path. Brent just looking to remove the stone. Maybe like to kick that yellow one in on the side there, keep the force alive, because if he just notices this, there'll be 2 stones outside of the rings. Still think you'd see Kendal draw. Yeah, and he tried, but especially with that turn, it was just going to kick it sideways as opposed to downwards into the rings. Had he hit the yellow one first thinly, maybe.
Mm-hmm. I think that's what he was trying to accomplish by playing. Most times you probably would have seen other teams play the other turn just because it would be a matter of just ripping the blue one out of the play. Either way, an opportunity here for Kendal Thompson to sink one here. I think if he makes it really good, we'll see Brent probably use on one of his yellow stones tight to the rings.
Looking for a skipper's deuce here, Kendal is.
the line's pretty good.
Yeah, but they really aren't bending, Carly, as much as we've seen. Like that got buried, but it also went about 3 feet too far. So
Opportunity here for Brent to just follow Kendal's stone down there and put himself into a position where he might have an opportunity to steal or force Kendal. I think this one really is a matter of a line. You don't want to put this in a spot where Kendal can possibly hit it out and get his 2. So I think definitely a line call is going to be really important on this one. So last stone here for Brent in the 6th then. Looking to put a little bit of pressure on Kendal Thompson on his last. Again, we're just waiting for it to bend.
Bryce going to try to make this kiss off a little bit. And
so I think with that a little bit of extra weight, I think it kissed off just enough that I think if Kendal really wanted to, I think he would be able to get to the inside of that yellow. I mean, he only needs to move it back 2 feet or so.
I think you're right, Carly. I think he would have to paper the guard pretty close, but I think you're right. Just with that extra weight he would need to bump it back, though, would it snap as much as he needs?
It's so hard to say, especially we've seen a few rocks go down this path and not really do a whole lot,
yeah, exactly.
Right?
And I think that's probably playing into what he's thinking as well right now.
But I think by playing that, I don't think there's really any risk involved either. I think that he plays it, and worst case, he gets his 1 anyway, so.
Yeah, that's true. I think he seems to definitely have played the weight for it. Oh, yeah, I think they're going for it for sure. Needs to squeak by this guard. I think they're by. Now it needs to curl. Yeah, that's a pretty good shot there by Kendal. As he makes it for 2, and he'll tie this game up after 6 ends, 5-5. Great. As we settle into for the 7th end, Brent MacDougall will have the hammer. We were mentioning earlier the level of shot making being executed here is really quite remarkable. Just looking across the sheets, you're always seeing some kind of shot be thrown down with some heavy weight trying to clear rocks out, and more often than not, they're made. So some pretty impressive stuff here at the Mayflower. The 2nd year in a row that, 2nd or 3rd, that the Mayflower has hosted both events together. Nice center guard there from Luke Saunders. Come around by Brent for Jarod Brown. Slips behind the tee line. Gives some room for Kendal, but he's going to go for the 2nd guard. You're going to see that happen more and more as the game draws to a close and situations become that much more intense. And he's going to need to convince his team, it sounds like. Bryce will serve as the link from what they were thinking here down at this end. down, talk to the skipper about it for a little bit, and see who wins out here. I'm quite a fan of the two-guard strategy myself. But you know, it's not as if they're losing. Game is tied. It's not a super desperate situation yet.
I think what, especially with kind of going back to talk about the ice and how sometimes if a guard's only halfway, sometimes it might not even be acting as a guard. So I think that with this, Kendal wants to get maybe just a hair tighter, just to make it a little more usable for him and later on in the end.
Yeah, that's a good point too, Carly. It's almost as if they got caught in between there. A little bit of a guard, a little bit of a come around.
Yeah, and that just goes back to, it's almost similar to what happened with Bryce's and the adjustments. Like you said, it's so marginal what the difference is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true, yeah. Paul Dexter trying to mount a comeback on Stuart Thompson over on sheet 5. Gets his deuce in the 6th. Stuart Thompson will have hammer in the 7th.
Nice little shot there by Jarod Brown. Having that blue rock slip into the rings, he was able to attempt to remove it, but moves it to the back 12 area.
Yeah, still some guards to work with for Kendal, so got an end building here. No rocks out of play yet. A pretty good line on this one. Will it stay above the tee line? No. If you look across the sheet, like I seem to be seeing a lot of this slipping behind the tee line stuff.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Perhaps maybe the ice might be just a hair quicker today. I mean, the ice does stay pretty consistent throughout the entire competition, but from the day you do see some changes in terms of the speed. Great stone there by Kirk. Come right down top of that blue one. Still an opportunity though for Brendan to play a similar shot they did on his first.
Yeah, it was really good by Kirk, but again, there's still room on the bottom.
And I think now too, it's almost the identical shot because even if Brendan does throw the same weight, I think he can get away with that. Still waiting for this one to break though.
This one wider, the widest of all three for sure. Doesn't want to bounce off too much. I think
the weight was good. It just didn't quite come in the way the other two did. So you can hear Brent there saying he'd like looking at about a hack weight shot here with this one. I think if he could get anywhere on the inside of that blue stone, and just roll over into a position where he takes away both the draw and the hit in for the Thompson. A little bit of a team debrief here again.
Yeah, we can just take a sec to talk about both events separately. I was saying in my broadcast earlier how I expect the women's field to be pretty tight with the possibility of anyone really coming out on top at the end of the week, and I think it's fairly evidenced by the fact that Mary MacDiarmid has come out on a hot streak and ended up on top. But I did expect it as much on the. I thought there would be a bit more of a separation, and I've been proven wrong. Really, there's we talked about the log jam earlier. There's 4 or 5 teams at 3-2 right now, and it just goes to show any one of these teams can come out here and play this event and come out with a different result every year.
And I think the same goes for both men's and women's. A lot of these teams are starting to understand, what it takes to compete at this level, and everyone comes out playing very competitively. And regardless, I mean, you see a lot of the games are really close. And it's been some great curling here this week for anyone who's come to watch, whether here or viewing in on our broadcast.
I've been really impressed. So trying to get to the inside of this blue.
I don't know if the call was still hack weight, because that definitely wasn't hack weight. Didn't quite catch to see if they had.
I think if that had curled a little bit more, it might have got by the yellow and even picked the blue by on the side. I think it was the best result, but maybe the hardest shot. Just drawing here, or?
I think he's trying to attempt possibly a double, yeah.
Okay.
Just judging by that ice.
Yeah, and that just goes back to what you were saying earlier there. The broom is pretty much almost where he wants to hit that rock, and you're saying earlier the ice is so weight sensitive, really doesn't curl with any kind of weight, and pretty good evidence there as Bryce makes another great shot. Leaving his team lying 2. Kendal Thompson here without the hammer in the 7th. Brent asking his team, do we have anything on that run back there? And I think they might with hack or board or so, but definitely not with anything more. So Brent content with just peeling the high one, then he definitely would have the run back. Doesn't expose the situation in the house, it exposes the run back. Oof, this has to curl. He's going to get the yellow.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Well, it gets a rear 1 blue. Not the worst result. Definitely not what they were looking for, though.
Yeah, I think Brent would have preferred losing the guard than getting rid of one of the 2 blue, because one of the 2 blues is still there, and the second one just about to be replaced here in a couple minutes.
So definitely want to keep this one in front of the tee line. I think anything behind the tee line is just going to help Brent.
And an unfortunate pick there for Bryce Everist. I really haven't seen very many of these this week, Carly. Ice has been pretty nice, but really bad break there, exposing shot stone in the house. Just that flips the end around on its head.
Yeah, that one's tough. Tell a little frustration there from Bryce, knowing that that one was completely out of his control.
Yeah, it's tough.
Pretty good shot there from Shea Steele. Good sweeping by Kirk.
Yes, not too bad at all. They seem to have left this double here on this side of the sheet.
think if he gets the inside, that both should go.
Yep. I think so. We were just talking earlier about teams really being pretty equally matched here this week, and pretty good evidence of that is Brent MacDougall's team last year didn't quite have the provincials he would have liked, and this year seems to have come out being on the good side of a few times instead of the other way around, and albeit it is a completely different team for Brent this year. But
yeah, and it's out of all the teams that are out here, as far as I know, Brent's team is really the only team to really undergo major changes in their lineup and their players.
You're right,
most of the teams have picked up one new player. We were talking about that last night on our broadcast, how we are seeing a lot more teams kind of make like 2 or 3 year commitments to each other as an attempt to grow as a team and to kind of learn how you get the best out of each other to, make the best team possible. Sometimes it can be hard. I mean, take 4 excellent curlers and put them on a team, but it takes a while to develop and get the most out of your players.
Yeah, I agree. Brent playing a draw down behind those guards. Thinks he can get to the inside of that blue. Taps it a few inches. I guess he'd probably be laying 2. So tough shot with high reward here for Brent. It's really far out there now, but
I don't know if this one's going to come back.
I don't think so. Definitely not to get to the inside.
Really trying.
Yeah, so I don't think Brent will be very happy with that. Pretty good opportunity here for Kendal to apply some real pressure.
Gotta be a little careful with this one. If you were to leave it, we've been watching, not quite seeing the finish. If this rock were ever to hang out there and settle somewhere in the top 4 area near the center line, it could leave a possibility of a double for Brent.
Yeah, I suppose. Yep.
This is Kendall's last shot of the end. Brent MacDougall does have 1 stone remaining. So it looks like they might play off this yellow stone here and kind of roll it in the center. I think I like this call a little bit better only because of the risk of setting up some sort of shot for multiple points for Brent. I think by doing this, you could possibly eliminate that opportunity, or at least make it harder.
Yeah, you might not need to roll very far, really. Just a half rock there, and I don't think you'll see Brent try to get to the inside or anything.
Exactly.
Nice control weight here coming down from Kendal. Should snap eventually. Yeah, so gets it out, doesn't get the roll. As a result, his only 3rd shot. So, but yeah, definitely path that Brent would need. Jeez, we've seen so much. Oh, okay, he's going way out there.
It looks like he's just going to try to play, yeah, exactly, from the far way around the blue guard you see there, just on the right of your screen.
You think with like
It's
hack
tricky, yeah.
through that part, we've seen.
Yeah, It could possibly do
Good
that.
curl.
I'm not sure if, yeah, it's hard to say if you get the curl or not. The other option too would be to throw the draw through the port with the in-turn.
Yeah, I think he might be close to running out of rings on that too.
Yeah. That's an easy draw for Brent here.
Seems pretty far out. I don't think played this far out in a while.
I think it just might be light.
Yeah, I think it's light as well. So that'll be a steal of 1 for Kendal Thompson in the 7th. It'll take a 6-5 lead over Brent MacDougall here in our feature game being presented by Bell TV1. We're at the Mayflower Curling Club in Halifax, Nova. My name's Ryan Corsell. I'm joined by Carly Jones here as we settle in for the 8th end. Stuart Thompson continues to lead over Dexter. Score is now 7-4. Kendal calling for the center guard here. He sometimes with the lead, you might see him throw the rock into the house. I think part of the decision making here might have to do with the fact that it is the 8th end. And if Kendal could ever squeak their steal here, he would then have the advantage of scoring and having the hammer in the evens if he could force in 9.
Yeah, oftentimes we'll see when teams are 1-up play kind of almost like a conservative approach to a steal.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll still put up that center line guard, but they won't go crazy. I think they would have liked to have seen that guard a little bit tighter, but.
Yeah, I agree, yeah.
Call is just a free at Yellowstone. It was just placed there by Jarod Brown.
Yeah, it really seems to have run into a wall there and start curling back quick.
Yeah, I think it was just a little heavy. Looked like Bryce tried to squeeze a little curl out of that rock, but not quite enough. Give our viewers at home a quick update as to what's going on with the other sheets. On sheet 2, we have Murphy Stevens, and in that game, Murphy is currently leading 5-3 after 6, and Murphy does have the hammer in that game. Over on sheet 4, which is our other featured broadcast, we have Mayhew up against Fleming, and having 6th then. Fleming is leading 3-1 after 6. And Mayhew does have hammer. And over on sheet 5, we have Stuart Thompson up against Paul Dexter. And it looks like Stuart Thompson managed to take 1 in the 7th to go up by 3. So he leads that game 7-4. And Dexter does have the hammer in the 8th end.
Yeah, the Mike Fleming and Robert Mayhew game is clipping right along. They're almost at the end of the 8th end. Not quite sure what happened in the 7th yet, but we'll let you know as soon as they put it up. Nice draw here from Kirk MacDiarmid. Great weight. Nice line. Pokes out the other side a little bit. That one curled the most of any we've seen in a while there. Kendal to run after it, asking Brendan to come down.
It's a good result with that rock. That's Reid yellow on the forfeit.
Yeah, he lays 2. He still has his center guard. Things are setting up pretty good without hammer for Kendal.
So it looks like Brent's going to choose to ignore those blue stones and play the cover. Looks like you're getting some curl on this one too. It's coming in quite nice.
Yeah, Brent not happy with any of the hit options there. Just asked Kirk to sink another one. Really wants to avoid poking out the other side again. Or if he does, at least get past that blue and poke out a little bit, and he's still higher, so I think you're going to see the same shot here.
That's such a tough one to call, too, because you want to keep it in front of the tee line,
yeah,
but at the same time, you kind of have to think about making the shot maybe a little bit harder for Kendal.
For your opponent, for sure.
It's coming in quite nice. Trying a little bit of extra curl at the end here. Blue is now lying 3. So I think we're going to see Brent probably try to make a play at them at this point. I think draw is a little too aggressive. I think he needs to kind of look at maybe bailing out on this situation.
Yeah, so Shea convinced his skipper into throwing this shot here, the intern into that pile. Wants to make a nice roll, maybe get rid of 2. Hangs around for a biter at the end, but leaves his opponent only scoring 1. Loses a shooter, though. Kendal's just going to hit this open one here and lay 3.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be upset with that. No. I mean, those blue ones were really in good spots there. So I think just to get them all out of the way and change up the situation in the house, he'll be happy with that result.
Yeah. We should tell you about our first final. You know, Jamie Murphy was putting the pressure on Chad Stevens end after end over there, and another 3 points in the 7th end made it 8-3, and that made it handshakes over there on that game. So Jamie Murphy moves to 5-1 in control of this Nova Scotia Tankard here, sitting alone in first place, and Chad Stevens will drop to 3-3 now. He will play for his life tonight. Must win for Chad Stevens in the evening draw.
Yeah, that win, kind of going back to when we were talking about our playoff scenarios, that 100% should guarantee Murphy a spot in the top 3.
Yes, for sure.
Looking at the wins and losses here, saying if this is up to date or not, if Paul Dexter were to win his current game at the moment, him and Murphy are playing against each other in the next game. And if Dexter were to win that game, or Murphy might result in who gets that first place spot and the bye into the championship.
I think if Dexter loses this game, Murphy's in the final.
Yes. But if in the case that he doesn't, then the game will be determining it. So.
Yeah, so a very real possibility of having our finalists decided before the last draw, both on the women's and the men's side.
I have a feeling that Murphy's team will be intently keeping their eyes on sheet 5 until they until they get out of here.
I would imagine.
Yeah, it depends on our game here too as well, with Brent MacDougall being 3-2, having beat Murphy. If Brent
that's right,
were
we didn't
able,
think of that.
Yeah, just look at the scenarios. Now, if Brent were to win this game as well, he still would be in contention for that final spot into the championship game.
So a Dexter loss, MacDougall loss would take care of that.
I think with Stuart Thompson, if he were to win, having lost to Murphy, he wouldn't be able to surpass him for that. And then Stevens has now dropped to 3-3.
Yeah.
So I think those are the scenarios that play out. I think it's going to be between Murphy and MacDougall. So the results of these games are really going to dictate what happens from here on out.
Murphy, of course, looking to defend his Nova Scotia men's title. Champion in 2016, 2014, 2012?
Something like that. I do know in 2015 it was the Glenn McLeod rink that went on to represent Nova Scotia. And just as a note, the team that does win here will have to compete in the relegation at the Brier in March. But this will be the last year for the relegation. And what they're going to be doing is switching the round robin format to 2 pools. So I think a lot of teams here are going to be happy to see the relegation go. As unfortunately Nova Scotia has not made it through that since it being instituted at the national.
Yeah, and just speaking about that relegation round, Carly, I know when it was first introduced, Nova Scotia was brought into the relegation round because of a performance by the Murphy rink at the previous Brier. So I heard this narrative going around a bit last year that they really want to make it back to the Brier to undo the situation that they sort of created or got Nova Scotia into. A bit of personal redemption looking for there, and it being the last year of relegation, it would really be the last year for that redemption.
Exactly.
So
especially after last year as well, that they did come just short of making it out of relegation too. So
yeah, they were really close last year.
It's tough. I mean, these guys work so hard all year to go to the Brier only to get there and be sent home right away, right? So I think for them to decide to get rid of the relegation rule is a good thing for the sport, because it's never easy for anyone really to watch that happen. So
yeah, they've found a way to run national championships, including everyone at senior level. There's no reason why you can't do it for the men's and the Scotties. I think you'll probably see them move away from the complete round robin, probably go into the 2 pools like we see at the juniors and the seniors now. So Kendal, Thompson laying 1 and 2 here. Brent MacDougall with a decision to make. The hit's kind of tricky because don't think your shot rock if you know it was either stone. Could cold draw the 4-foot.
Yeah,
could tap his yellow up a few feet.
I agree. I think at this point, I mean, he just needs to to get at least full 8 foot, maybe nibble on 4 foot to get a single here.
Yeah, big shot though. He's playing 2. You want to score in the 8th, keep the game close. Don't want to spend the last 2 ends of the game, throwing up a bunch of guards, trying to generate points. You want to get into a good end with your opponent. Rock's in the house.
Staying close to this one.
The line's going to be the weight. Sweepers aren't really panicking yet. Broom goes up from Shea. Should indicate a good shot, and he finds the 4 foot. No issue from Brent. That ties the game 6-6 with a single from MacDougall in the 8th. We'll head to the 9th. Tight game here on sheet 3 at the Mayflowers Draw 6 action of the 2017 Nova Scotia Deloitte Tankard. Representative will play for Nova Scotia, as we were just mentioning, at least in the relegation round at the Tim Hortons Briar this year, to be played in St. John's, Newfoundland. Big year for the Briar this year. I think been waiting a long time to bring it back to St. John's.
Brent calling up the center line guard. He'll be looking to steal here in the 9th. I think Kendal Thompson having hammer here would be happy either with a blank or 2 points here.
Yeah, it's like you said, in the 8th might be the conservative approach at the stealing there for MacDougall, because he ends up forcing Kendal to 1. He'll have the hammer in 8th with only the 1 point deficit, setting up the classic curling dilemma there. Can tell you it was a blank in the 7th, and then Mayhew took 1 in the hammer in our other feature sheet on sheet 4. So Mike Fleming will lead that one 3-2. They're playing the 9th, that game well ahead of everyone.
Big shot underway on sheet 5. Just keep the viewers updated. Paul Dexter is drawing against 3 Thompson counters.
Ooh. And it just hung on an outside rock there and didn't quite get the path he needed to 4 foot. It's going to be at least a steal of 2, maybe 3. Doesn't matter. The hands come out, and it's a final on sheet 5 between Stuart Thompson and Paul Dexter. Thompson moving to 4-2. Paul Dexter joining Chad Stevens at 3-3. As we said earlier, Jamie Murphy will be happy about that. All he needs is a MacDougall loss, and he will be in Sunday's final to defend his title. As we said there, conservative approach to the steal. Brent hitting a rock in the back of the 12 foot here.
Yeah, he doesn't need to go all out.
Definitely doesn't want to leave him around.
But I think the big thing here, I think if Brent were able to Kendal here and get last strike advantage in the 10th end, he can somehow generate an opportunity for the multiples in order to win the game. So I think, you know, Brent, he's been skipping for a long time, and I'm sure he's been faced with this scenario multiple times.
Yeah, so the exchange of hits on the wing continues. Higher up it goes, at some point you're going to see Brent call the roll here pretty hard.
Yeah, for sure. At this point, playing any roll would just put it behind, making it a lot easier for...
Yeah, it's not quite high enough yet.
Exactly. At this point, with Kendal, I think he'd like to at least maybe keep the play away from the center.
Yeah.
Having sitting second shot at the top 8 foot there. If you were to just nose this, roll over just to the right side. So a little bit of a chance here now for Brent if he can make a good roll here. Well, let Kendal call for some sort of peel action up in the front.
Bit outside on this one. Shea's going to roll out. This will give Kendal an opportunity to try to set up his 2 here.
Looked like he threw a lot of weight on that one.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he might just overthrown that one a bit. So there's, again, a few options here. So could be really aggressive and play around the center. Perhaps be a little bit more conservative and play towards the wings. You just need to make sure that you are out counting the other yellow stone to sit 2. Otherwise, that rock likely won't count later on.
You peel the guard, keep the blank alive.
Peel the guard is also an option, absolutely.
I don't mind this at all, though, especially with that stagger.
I think the key to this one is you really got to make sure you don't get this behind the tee line. Like, even if you end up being just biting the top 4 and you're half buried, then that's better than being behind the tee line on this one.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, if you go behind the tee line, you're almost kind of giving it to Brent on the golden platter, saying, here you go, here's your out from the end. So big shot here for Everist. Break's gotta go on soon. It looks pretty hot from up here.
Yeah, the path looks nice, but it's got to stop.
That is
Hanging around in the
really
back's okay.
heavy.
But, yeah, it's right through the rings there for Bryce Everist. He's thrown too many of those high hard ones this game. Hasn't been able to bring
It's
his
tough,
weight down.
especially in the ninth end. You, at that point, you hope to feel comfortable with draw weight at that time and
Yeah, of course.
are able to make them, but especially, and I've been hearing a lot from the guys on the ice that the sliding surface in the center has seemed to be breaking down a little bit more than toward. We're going a little bit further out. Perhaps maybe it caught some fresh stuff and didn't quite slow down as they expected it to. And again, from Shea Steele, it looks like we're going to see an exact,
Yeah, so I mean,
almost
that
as exact
might
same
be a
as,
bit of
yeah.
a slick path there. We've seen 2 in a row go down like that.
Yeah. So Bryce is going to have another attempt here to get one in, knowing, kind of having a feel for what the weight is here. We'll likely see him take a little bit off.
And we have our third final over on our other feature sheet. Sheet 4, Mike Fleming with a big score of 4 in the 9th, breaking that one open. He'll take the win over Robert Mayhew. Fleming playing spoiler there, moves to 2 and 4, and brings down to that level of 2 and 4. That'll eliminate Robert Mayhew from any playoff contention. So the 3 playoff spots now being fought over by 5 teams. Pretty good draw there from Kendal. Found the right spot. Sorry, from Bryce. Good correction after his first one.
Yeah, I don't think Bryce will have an opportunity to play that shot again, so I bet he's quite pleased to have a little bit of redemption on that one.
Yeah. Line looks really good here. The sweepers just really have to drag it a bit further and leave it just a few feet short. Can really hear the players well on the ice. That our feature sheet now the only sheet still in action. Thompson team going through all the different options. Kendal originally seemed to indicate the preference for a tap back on that blue. It'd be really nice to send it into a spot that it wouldn't be accessible on that side yellow, and then 3 is in play here in the 9th. Could break this game open late. I think that's what he's going to play. As we keep looking at this overhead shot, it'd be really nice to send that yellow past, or send the blue past the yellow. You don't want to send it too far behind because it'll be a pretty easy slash for Brent. But I can get it into a good spot here and Brent won't have that slash.
Trying to get this one by.
Really don't want to hit that yellow. Line looks really good. And move it past the yellow. Not quite, but pretty good spot anyways.
So I'm just trying to figure out the scenarios here with the standings. So we do know that with a loss from MacDougall here, that Team Murphy would clinch the #1 spot. Stuart Thompson is, well, depending on what happens with MacDougall, Stuart Thompson is at 2 losses, with a number of teams at 3 losses. So I'm just curious whether or not this point, if any of the teams who would have 3 losses after this, if the teams with 4 losses were to still win, if they'd be still be in contention at this point.
I don't think so, because like Stuart Thompson will play Chad Stevens tonight, for example. 3 of them will stay above the 4 losses.
Stuart Thompson would.
Yeah. At least 3 of them will, because 4 losses below 500, so just mathematically it's not not really possible. Yeah. Yeah, we're just having a second look at the situation here for the playoff picture, and I think Carly might be right. I think there's a outside chance of 4 losses still being alive
My
here.
head's spinning right now.
Yeah, I think you might be right. And it just really is related to who's playing who tonight. Just happens to line up exactly.
I know, and I think all these guys at 4 losses think they're out right now.
Yeah.
I don't think they are.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd have Murphy and Stewart clearing through, and then you'd have a log jam with 4 losses. Yeah, that is possible. That is possible. Oh. Unfortunate flash there from Brent MacDougall. Needed to catch a bit of that yellow to slash it onto the blue, and just missed it. It'll be an open draw for 3 for Kendal Thompson. That'll really break this game open late.
It's a huge draw, especially in the 9th then, to go up 3. Would really put a lot of pressure on Brent MacDougall there to tie the game up. So big draw here.
I think if Brent were to win here, those 4 losses would be eliminated.
Yeah, I think if Brent were to win, yes, exactly. And again, he also has has another game left. So to bring the people with 4 losses into contention, you would need
which
Brent
is
MacDougall.
Against Mayhew, which is now 4 losses, so he's playing to bring him down. Yeah. Yeah, it's extremely rare that you'll see a record below 500 make you into a playoff spot, but possibility of tiebreakers at least here at the Tankard. This one curling early, and it's gone.
I think he's just light.
Yeah, as well, yeah.
Yeah.
But he'll be happy with the 2 anyways. At least. Brent MacDougall will have the hammer in the last end. A Stevens or Dexter win tonight would also eliminate those 4 last teams. So everybody's still alive.
Yeah, everyone's still alive. I think what's going to dictate whether or not, I think at this point everything is in control of the teams playing tonight, whereby if they're able to win, that they should be able to secure some sort of spot.
Right.
Some teams will require a little bit of help from some other people, but for those teams that you just mentioned, for Stevens and Dexter, who are 3 losses each, particularly depending on the outcome of this game.
And they just so happen to be playing the 2 teams that are at the top. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and you don't, like you said, you don't see that happen too often.
Yeah, this is a really rare scenario. Yeah. So all 8 teams still in the hunt entering the final draw here tonight. So that first stone was supposed to be in the rings, and Luke came up a little light, so he can remove your own stones in the free guard zone. And that's what he'll be asked to do, is remove his first stone.
You don't see that happen too often.
No.
But clears up the
I think
situation.
sometimes the players get caught, and I think, Kendal just got caught on his last as well at the end of a draw. The ice just gets just that much slower, just a little bit slower as well here. These guys have been the only ones playing out on the ice for a good 10-15 minutes now. The ice does change quickly when all that body heat leaves the ice. Here we go, looking to remove the stone in the house. Won't be mad if he gets a guard, but no, he gets the one in the house. MacDougall still with the 1 guard to work with, but he needs 2, and it is center guards. Trying to get his deuce playing down the center here. Kind of an unconventional approach to an end with hammer, but it is the last end. I think that has something to do with it. It's only going to take one nice one, though, from Kendal to take it all away from him if he plays down the center. Sweeper's indicating this one's headed to the back of the house. That'll give it a bit more curl as well, so it'll completely pop out the other side.
So I think we'll see a similar shot being called here.
Yeah, I think if yeah, you can see Kendal there. He's kind of not sure which one you should go after.
I think you still go for the one in the house. I think
especially with the 2-point lead.
Yeah. I don't think I worry a whole ton about that guard. It's not super tight to the ring, so it's not a rock that could be splittable later on. And with regards to Brent bearing one, they might be able to still be able to remove it. So I think hitting the one in the rings right now is the call. So similar shot here being called. Just trying to get one really big here. Brent's going to be using anything he can to make it more difficult for Kendal to remove this Yellowstone.
Yeah, they haven't quite made the one yet. This one's looking pretty good. Gotta stop or keep poking out the other side. Yeah, again, just a little bit.
This one looks a little tight.
That's okay. Just maybe back that up a bit. Nice to save the shooter there as well, because it'll be something else for Brent to deal with eventually. But he's still just going to call for the draw, taking more ice here than he has in the previous ones. All of them poking out the other side.
Just keep it clean right now. Weight looks pretty close from here.
Yeah, I think the line's way too tight again, though.
I think quite a bit of it poked out the other side, and that just goes to when we were kind of talking about how long that guard is. And, you know, if you're coming tight to that guard at all, then it's the risk that comes with that is having it showing about half to 3/4 of it.
Yeah, I think Brent definitely took a lot more ice there, but I think Shea came in a bit narrow there. The further out you go with the broom, the harder it is to really convince your body that you need to slide out there and really throw the rock out there, because the broom's way out there. It's because there's a lot of curl, so it's that much more important that you make it out to it. And, you know, to give Kendal's team full credit, they've made all of these delicate half buried around the center shots. They've executed them all perfectly this end. And now they've saved 2 shooters, both in the center. And now, you know, I'd go as far as saying Brent's decision to keep the play in the center is coming back to hurt him a bit. So Brent needs to make both of... Oh no, we're still on Shea's last stone, sorry. We need to put one in a position that removed here.
Just waiting for this one to curl. Weight looks pretty close.
Yeah, they're gonna get caught in between here. Didn't quite make it to the inside of that stone, and even closer to the center. Now if Kendal makes this little hit and flop to the center line, I don't know how Brent gets 2, let alone 1. Or 1, let alone 2, I should say.
Yeah, I think they'll be happy just, you know, if they nose this or even just a hair flopped. And like you said, Ryan, it'll be really difficult for Brent to score his 2 here to tie the game up.
Too far.
Just a little further than he would have liked to.
Yeah, it is indeed. It's still pretty tough for Brent to get shot rock here, because coming onto the face of either of those side blues won't do it.
So he's going to call timeout here. It's a pretty crucial shot, so we're going to take a minute to discuss what their best options are here.
Yeah, I don't see very many good ones, Carly.
Well, one thing, I mean, let's see if we can really try to figure something out here. So he could come along the intern side, as we were saying. That guard is decently long. Say he were to throw maybe back 8.
Yeah.
Try to get to the inside.
Paper
sit
the guard.
one,
Paper the blue one.
Right. And kind of almost leave it in a position where I wish I had on these rocks.
Yeah.
Leave it in a position where it makes the raise tough for Kendal, because Kendal will have some sort of raise opportunity on that blue rock,
That's
right?
true, yeah.
The other option too, not sure if it's there, but would be to where Jarod's just tapping on that stone. You could possibly try to cozy up just to the inside of that, at which point Kendal's team would decide whether or not they feel comfortable hitting it, or perhaps guarding the situation, making it even harder for Brent to get to.
Yeah, I think you'd end up third shot, then Kendal guards, and I don't know how you win.
In terms of ease, I think the intern shot is the easiest.
I agree.
But I think the big thing to think about what you're going to leave Kendal on this last one, because you got to make sure this yellow rock doesn't go anywhere. So I think it's a very precise shot.
It's extremely precise.
You wouldn't want to throw more. I think back forward would really be as much as you would want to throw.
Yeah, you want to give it a chance to move it out of being shot rock, but to do that, you got to throw at least back forward.
Yeah, and the only reason why I'm considering even thinking about, maybe moving it a bit is just because how are you going to get your second one in there to score 2?
Exactly.
So, you can definitely get 1 in there, I think, at this point, but he needs 2, so.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely the best option for him. There's a good, it's a good 2.5, 3 feet there between those blues. You could paper by the front one and kiss off the side into the top of the button for sure. Yeah. There's actually a bit more room than I thought there now that I look at it. The one on the left-hand side, or the right-hand side as we're looking at it now, is a lot tighter.
So I think the key to this one is he needs to try to get to the inside of it and put it in a position where he's hopefully sitting in shot rock here after this.
Yeah, I think he needs to be shot rock for sure. If not, at least number 2.
Really trying to get it there for weight.
Yeah, it's tight and light.
I think that's game over then. Not getting to the rings, you need 2.
Yeah, I would say, as the hand comes out.
Handshakes.
And that'll be a loss for Brent MacDougall, and that will send Team Murphy to the final on Sunday.
So while we have you guys here right now, just so we can really quickly run through the scenarios to bring everyone at home up to speed. So as Ryan said, Team Murphy has clinched first place and the bye to the final on Sunday. Stuart Thompson is at 4-2, and he'll be playing against Team Stevens on this same sheet tonight at 8 p.m. And with that game, Stevens is at 3-3. So for either of them to win is quite important. Now, if Stevens were to lose, that would drop him down to 3-4. With Dexter playing against Murphy, Dexter is in a must-win situation, and then if he were to lose, he would drop down to 3-4. And then same with Brent MacDougall, he'll be playing up against Robert Mayhew. Mayhew being at 2-4, looking the win to stay alive. Same with Brent MacDougall. Now, if Brent MacDougall were to drop down to 3-4, depending on how the wins go in the other situations, we could see a tiebreaker situation at the 3-4 position, depending on who.
Could be 4 teams at 3 and 4 there.
Yeah.
So lots of things still to figure out here as we wrap up round robin here on this Friday at the Mayflower Curling Club. We'll be back for the last women's draw of round robin. That'll be underway at 4 o'clock in just over an hour's time. I'd like to thank Carly for joining me in the booth today, and on behalf of LTV1 and the Mayflower Curling Club, thank you for joining us. We'll be back at 4 o'clock.